Hey, friends, and welcome back to the series where I talk about how to move away from exhausting one to one classes that many online language teachers fill their schedules with and then struggle to scale this business because actually one on ones are quite difficult to scale. My name is Elena Mutunono, and I help online language teachers and coaches scale their businesses in manageable ways so they can enjoy their work and grow it without burning out, which is really important. So, in this session, I am going to explore with you 4 different formats that teachers are usually introduced to when they think about how to get out of constant one on one lessons. And these 4 formats, I will share them with you and tell you what is good and what is not so good about each one of them, and how you can change your mindset and try out different things, or choose not to try out certain things or certain formats and choose the one that will work for you and for your clients. The doodles I will be using today were the doodles that I used in my masterclass called From One to Infinity. If you're curious about it, it's available as a 3-part recorded masterclass, and you can check it out by clicking the link in the bio. So let's talk about 4 different formats. And here is one that many of us know, and that is group classes. Now, group classes is when you have several clients that come together at a scheduled specific time, and these students are motivated to come because they can chat with each other, but sometimes they come and they join a program like that or group classes because it's cheaper for them. And the problem with group classes is trying to schedule them at a specific time, especially if people come from different places, and also getting people to do the work because unlike a one-on-one, you cannot just be there and focus on one student. There might be more than one. And so your students need to be a bit more autonomous. They have to be about the same level. They come to interact with their peers, like I said, but they might miss classes, which creates an additional admin work for you. Most of these classes are expected to be cheaper and have less homework. That is why they're attractive to your student. Now, the hard part with moving to this type of format, which is usually kind of the default of going from one to one, you go to group classes. The hard part and the challenge is all the administrative work that comes in without you recognizing it. And also the marketing. You need to market more, and because a lot of people expect these classes to be cheaper, they don't actually have to be cheaper, but most of the people expect them to be cheaper. Then you do a lot more marketing work to bring in different people and make sure that they are okay talking to each other and they don't feel bashful and they are actually ready for a format like that, and they're ready to commit. That's a tall order for somebody who's moving away from one-to-one classes, because all the admin work and all the marketing that goes into it at a price per client that is cheaper, and then in the end you don't know whether or not you are actually going to retain all these clients, and will you be able to get them to work together. And then you'll still be meeting with them every week, and you will still trade time for money. It will be a different kind of trade, maybe a little bit more profitable for you, but of course you deserve that profit because of all the time that you will have put into the admin part and the marketing. Let's look at the other one called online courses, and this was my other option back in the day. When I moved away from one-to-one classes, I thought, oh, I can just create online courses and keep selling them. And that's what most online teachers think about. Okay, because that's what they see in their feed and Facebook ads. Create a course and sell it, and then you're going to be really successful. And they try it out, and because they don't have experience getting their students to A, stay motivated and engaged during the class, and B, marketing to masses, because in order for this to be successful, you need to do quite a bit of marketing, because you don't have these skills. One-on-one does not really require these skills. You can build quite a good clientele off of word of mouth. Same with group classes. But with online courses, it really is helpful when you have more people, which means you need to build your community. And here I want to probably pause and say a few things about building a community. A lot of times people build the numbers but don't build the community. So they feel, as long as I have a certain number of people coming into my orbit, listening to my podcast, watching my YouTube video, whatever, I'm going to have clients. But that is not necessarily so. Like I said, I've worked with a number of online language teachers that were struggling to sell really cheap one-to-one classes, and their podcasts were really popular. And why does that happen? Well, because mainly people focus on building the numbers and then saying, well, if a certain number will convert, then it will be okay. But the thing is, numbers do not convert. It's the people. The people come and become a part of your paid clientele. And if you do not build that sense of community that comes from your own understanding of your values and your purpose of your business and so forth, it will be very difficult to market. So online courses, people go through the course on their own time. Usually they have lifetime access. Unless you want it to be limited time, you can also do that. They're 100% autonomous, and moving from one-to-one to 100% autonomous, there is a steep learning curve. There is a tendency for teachers to over-deliver, and the students are overwhelmed. They never complete their homework, which means they're not going to be successful completing their online course. They are not going to share or talk about it with their peers, and therefore you will have fewer testimonials and harder time promoting it. There is little to no support usually, although most online courses today have some kind of support, at least for a limited amount of time. There's no or less interaction. Maybe it's not facilitated. Maybe there is a Facebook group or something like that. You can complete as much as you want to. You don't have to complete the whole online course. There is a range of pricing. You can start at the bottom and go up, and really there's no one price that will work with online courses. It really depends on what you want to achieve through that. And your students, they need to take ownership for their results, which means your online course needs to be as specific as possible, which is not the word that online language teachers coming from one-to-one classes can easily grasp. We feel like we just want to give as much as we want, and we have this classical classroom approach to, oh, well, I'm going to teach grammar, or I'm going to teach vocabulary, or I'm going to teach this or that, and it really doesn't always work that way, because it's not how students learn online. I mean, you can do that with your one-to-one clients because they're there, they paid you money, but with online courses, you need to keep people motivated, and you can't keep them motivated just because they came to learn from you, and they will learn anything from you. So choosing the so-called niche and focus is really important for online courses, and that's where people usually get stuck. Now we move into programs, and this is where I landed, and this is where I help online language teachers go to, because it's an easy way from a program to an online course. And it is also like a good in between online classes and even group classes. If you have groups of clients there, but you don't want to meet with them every week, this is where you go. You do run it during a specific time period, but they are not endless like group classes. Group classes do not usually have focus. They're like, oh, let's meet for a month, or let's just meet together. They don't have a very specific schedule as programs do. Programs start at a certain time, they end at a certain time. But the schedule itself is flexible, which means you don't have to be meeting at a specific time, but you can complete your assignment at a certain time whenever you want to within the time frame. So you can do it in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, and usually the assignments are short as opposed to, spending 1 hour in front of the screen. People get feedback through their through voice chats or through Google. If it's a writing program, you can have a writing program and it works just as well. It's autonomous. There is guided homework and it's bite-sized. You give prompts and they're short and they need to be, that's why programs need to be focused. This is where programs are a lot like online courses. And you learn a lot about focusing and niching when you move into a program as opposed to group classes. And you set competitive pricing. So essentially for a program to run successfully and for students to be motivated to go through it, you cannot anymore charge per hour. And that's how there's a good connection between program and online courses, because the price has to be sustainable and it has to be competitive, and people, when they join, they want to see the results. So pricing is competitive. If it's too low, then people just won't feel that it's just as effective, and therefore they won't put as much effort into it. And then there are clubs. Now, clubs are a lot like group classes, but they have some points. They take some points from programs. They can be speaking clubs, they can be book clubs, they can be movie clubs. You run them during a specific period of time, and there is a well-defined focus. Okay. They are autonomous. There is group interaction, but you can choose whether to have it through voice chats or Google if it's a writing club, for example, or you can have one meeting. And unlike group classes, you don't need to meet every week. You have fewer meetings. Now, a lot of people, when they have clubs, they feel like they need to meet every week, and then it becomes really challenging to maintain that schedule, because like you're now going back to pretty much charging per hour. You have guided homework, you connect through chats, and people connect more often than in group programs, and you have recurring pricing, and usually the pricing is lower. Therefore, you cannot again connect or tie pricing to the number of hours that your students or you will spend interacting with each other. So it has to be competitive, but in the clubs, it has to be less work for you and more engagement and connection for students. So they're paying not necessarily to learn from you, they're paying to stay in contact with other people. And if you are able to set it up that way, you're going to have really successful clubs. If you did not have much experience moving away from one-to-one and charging per hour and empowering your clients to be autonomous, clubs are going to be just another extension of group classes, and they will unfortunately not be sustainable. You will not be able to maintain it for that long. Well, I hope you found these 4 formats insightful, and now you have an opportunity to go out and try some things. I encourage you to try out programs because they will make your life so much easier and give you so much more creativity and connection with your clients that you don't currently have with one-to-one classes. If you think that another teacher might like this video, I encourage you to share it in Facebook groups or your other communities And so together we can spread this message of smarter online teaching beyond one-to-one classes. Thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to this channel, and if you want to dive deeper into how you can move away from one-to-one classes, there is a link in the description to my 3-part masterclass called From One to Infinity that will give you a lot more ideas than this video has. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.